second runner-up is Miss Grenada, Risa McIntosh.
First runner-up in the 2022 Miss OECS pageant goes to St. Lucia, Keegan Smith.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the crowning moments of the Miss OECS pageant.
It's only obvious
2022.
That a new Miss
The crowning
OECS
moment.
will be announced.
The
in a
moment
couple
you
seconds.
have been waiting for. The judges have decided that
And I think this was a show of
the Miss
consistency.
OECS
Yes, indeed.
2022
And with in front of a crowd
is
full of supporters as well.
Miss Antigua and Barbuda, Carrie-Ann Thomas.
Congratulations to the new Miss OECS.
The new Miss OECS 2022
Carrie-Ann Thomas.
is Carrie-Ann
Well,
Thomas.
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who were wondering what happened on Saturday, those are the results for you. We're going to take a break and we'll be back. We have Timothy and Ramel in the studio along with our special guest for this morning. Stay tuned and find out who that individual is. And please do keep in mind our program for this morning, like every Tuesday morning, will be streamed live so you can see our special guest this morning. You can log on YouTube to see this morning program. Look for ZLZ on YouTube.
In case you don't know us, you're just twisting that dial away and managed to bump into us. This is ZIZ Radio from out of St. Kitts.
All right, 18 minutes moving up to the hour. Let me say good morning once again to all of our listeners and all of our viewers. And good morning to Timothy and Rommel. And I'm not going to announce who the next person is in the studio. I know her very, 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 very well. It's good to see you, my dear. Don't answer anything. Don't let me hear your mouth yet. Just shake your head and say yes. Timothy, Rommel, welcome, welcome.
Yes, good morning, JQ. Good morning, listening audience. It's indeed a pleasure to be back today.
Good morning, everyone.
Bring the mic close to you, buddy. There we go, yeah. And then we could always bounce it around afterwards.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just saying good morning to everyone. Good morning to you, JQ.
Mm-hmm. You go back. You afraid to go closer, Diana? and you can lean back now so you can hear.
Yeah. Much better.
Yeah, lot better.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Timothy. So go ahead. You're in control.
Yeah. So this morning we have a special guest with us. We, like all the other shows, this show is bringing awareness to persons as to things they shouldn't do. In reference to highlighting what we do as fire officers as well. So this morning we thought it best to have someone come in and share an experience that they had, and this person is in the person of Diana Powell. And good morning, Diana.
Good morning, and good morning to the audience as well.
All right. So we encountered a fire, which was in the Ponds Pasture area, and
Ponds Extension.
Ponds Extension, rather. Yeah. Sorry. And when we responded, the fire was indeed a house fire. So we responded to that fire, and lo and behold, it was the property of Miss Powell.
Mm-hmm.
And we just want her to share with the general public what that experience would have been like for her. All right, so Ms. Powell, I turn it over to you. In relation to the fire that occurred at your premises, residence, what was it? Could you give us a synopsis as to what transpired?
Okay, this is my story. I woke up, it was a normal day, it was a normal night, nothing different to what I normally go through. I had a training online that night. I did some work, but I was a bit tired, so I went to bed. But I have a grandbaby that really loves food, and he woke up minutes to 12, screaming down the house, and I decided to get up and run to the kitchen to just warm some water in the kettle, which in the kettle didn't really have much water, and that was satisfying for me because I needed water urgently. So with him continue screaming down the house, I ran back thinking I turned the stove off. Lo and behold, I went back in, I fed him, lie back down, and I fell asleep. And then when I checked the clock, when I got up, I just saw a bright orange flame through my mother's bedroom door because I didn't even close back the bedroom door. And I remembered, I said, oh my God, the kettle. And I rushed to the kitchen. Well, thank God, a lot of times when situation happens, you're not really functioning, so you don't really know what to do. But I always have a hose connected to my pipe. So I ran outside. The fire was very small. It was just in the area where the stove was. Mm-hmm. The fire was very small, so I ran outside. I ran through the front door to grab my hose, but they turned the water off. There was no water running because I was thinking to myself that I could do it myself because, as I said, it was very small. So after no water was running, my neighbor window was open, and so I just shouted to her, please call the fire truck for me. We have a fire. So I don't even remember if I went back in. I still was fighting for the hose, struggling with the hose. Still, my mind didn't grasp that there was no water. But then my daughter recognized, my adopted daughter, she recognized what was going on. So she grabbed the baby and my mom and they came outside. But I think one of the things that really caused the fire to escalate as we were waiting on the truck, I baked cakes and I had just done my shopping that day, or the previous day. So you had gallons of oils, butter, lard, cake boxes, everything that would create and cause a fire to spread very quickly. As well, I think one of the main things too, I normally sometimes do some catering with cooking, and I'm always really busy, and I had a table model stove in the kitchen as well. So there were two stoves. It was a gas and a table model. So I think in my opinion, and as I listened to other persons when we were talking outside, or they were talking, as to how the fire was just spreading. Maybe the fire burst the hose on the tank, the small tank, and I guess gas escaping also would have caused the fire to spread because it spread very, very, very fast. So as we stood outside, as we waited for the truck, one of the things as well is that the truck really responded when they should have, but the road is very small where we are. So the truck had trouble coming across. So as we were waiting for the truck to come, it was very traumatizing because you're standing outside and you're watching your home. You're watching everything that you have had all these years go up in flames. And I must commend them still. I mean, people were bashing, thinking they were so close. But at the end of the day, they still responded and saved part of my house, which I am now living. And I must commend them for that because they responded still and was able to save that. They worked from the back street. They wasn't able to get on the street still, but they, in their quick thinking, they responded from the back street, threw the hoses over the properties that was in the back of me and was able to deal with the fire. So as a result, I still have part of my home, which is an upstairs section in the back, and that is where me and my family is living today. But I want to say something to the audience. Never put off for tomorrow what you can do today. Because, I watch all of my equipment. I operate a small cake business from that home, and I watch all of my equipment go up in flames. I've been meaning to put some shelving in the area where I bake, and you keep putting it off. But if I was able to have those shelving put in, I would have been able to save more of my equipment. Thank God that my oven is a commercial oven. It did get some damage because we are still working on it to get it fully functional. Luckily, it's a double oven, and the bottom oven is still working, but the top one had some water damage, I guess, from the hose from the fire, as they were out in it. So it caused some electrical problems. So the technician is presently trying to work on getting that up and running. But I would say to us, as myself and to the audience, if you're tired, put off whatever you have to do with the stove for the next day. It won't matter, in the sense that to try and light a stove, because you're already tired, you will just stand the risk of falling asleep. So it's better for you to just rest. It's better to go to bed early, and if anything, you can awake before the late hours in the morning, so you can continue whatever it is you wanted to do. That is very dangerous. From my experience, I would advise, once you're tired, just go to bed and get that rest that is needed. I also want to say to the audience, sometimes we have expectations of persons. Expectations from family members, expectations from friends, expectations from government, expectations from institutions. But you have to remove the expectations from persons. You can only expect of yourself because you know what you are capable of doing. But when you expect from other persons, you get heartbroken, you are hurt because you have these high expectations of these people. Because help never gonna come from who you expect. The person that you expect that's going to reach out to you, that's going to be there to comfort you, that's going to be there to send an encouraging word, they're never there. That's the expectation that you have of persons, and sometimes our expectations are too high. So you have to remove the expectations, and from my experience, I would say remove the expectations. The persons that have supported me so far have been friends that I'm not even close to, persons who I come into contact through business. Those are the persons that are there for me. Recently, I was part of a reunion group that from when I was a child in June. And those were the persons, along with a good friend of mine in New Jersey, who came together and bought stuff for me to be able to get back on my feet with my business. You hear what I said? Those persons are living in the States. Some of them are living here. I never expected, after almost 30-something years, that friends that I met in June would see it, important enough to help me to get back on my feet with my business. So, as I said once again, the expectation, the person that you do not expect, the person that you least expect, those are the ones that are going to come through for you. Those are the ones that is going to help you. So my advice, whatever your expectations of persons are in your life, persons that, you feel like should help, remove the expectations, because you will always be heartbroken. And where you expect the help to not be coming from, that is where the help is going to be coming from. And that is my story.
Well said.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for sharing that with us. I know that would have, something heart-wrenching like that, it's tough to get out, but you did, and I want to thank you for that. Letting the general public hear and know what you went through on that day.
Romel, anything to add in terms of, what you should be aware of? I mean, we just heard a story, a true story, where Diana was trying her best to provide despite feeling tired. And even though she was trying her best, we all heard the outcome. And I'm sure that's just one story of many.
Many, yeah. Well, Mr. Martin, I really want to thank you for mustering up the energy, strength to relive that day or that night. It's not something easy to just get up and because every time you talk, you're having flashbacks, and so it's really hard. But I really want to thank you for again accepting our invitation and just coming and sharing with the general public, and I hope that it would be helpful to other people, because she would have shared some crucial, vital information that I probably would have mentioned after, but she already covered that. Things like, she mentioned where we were being bashed, and the persons don't understand that there are a lot of hindrances, things that keep us back. While the fire station is just down the street, we are not driving a plane. We are not using a helicopter that could hover up and just drop. We're driving a truck on the street where we have traffic obstruction. And the street where she lives in a really small rail, and then you have parking. So the truck cannot come across that freely. So they had to improvise, as she mentioned, and jump walls to get the work done. So traffic is another, and we keep talking about how people park and so forth, right? So that's something people need to take into consideration. Now, when she got up and she ran outside, luckily she was tired, she was still thinking. So she knew she had a hose, she tried to get the hose. But in the absence of the hose, there's no water. From the beginning of the show, we've been preaching, fire extinguisher. That is the fastest. It's right there. Pop it and you're gone. Unfortunately, there was no water, because if there was water, she would have saved that house. No doubt, she would have saved that house. So we are back to preaching fire extinguishers. And I'm really happy that Diana came and shared that experience with us, so persons could understand what we have been preaching, right? And when she mentioned about, we would have spoken about not going to cook when you sleepy or anything.
Yeah, we've touched on a lot of
so
that.
So and again she brought it over, so maybe she needs to join the team and come with us every Tuesday. Don't go by the stove when you're tired.
Yeah.
Or when you're sleepy, go to sleep. Now, the Diana had a reason to go to the stove, because the child was up crying and he wanted something to eat and so forth. So she probably didn't have a choice. But if you do have a choice, you come home late and you have the munchies, find something else to munch on that has nothing to do with troubling a stove. Okay? So we just really want to reiterate those points, and continue to help people to help themselves to save their property.
I'm glad that you took the negative and turned it to a positive. For me, I'm glad that you came here. You could have said no, and said, "I'm gonna put my business out there on the radio." But I'm happy that you came and shared your life experience with us. And I want to refrain from saying thank you, and I want to refrain from saying happy. I'm not going to use those words anymore, because what happened to you wasn't a happy situation. And I can't thank you for sharing that situation. That's not a situation I would want to be in or wish for anybody to be in. What happened was unfortunate. I'm glad that you were able to, save your family first and foremost. I know you worked hard with those equipments that you acquired over the years, but as you can tell, you are getting it back piece by piece, and you could never get back life. And I won't even stress on that aspect, because you know what I'm talking about. So let's not even go down that road there.
Yes.
So I admire you. Let's use that word. I admire you, and appreciate you. I want to say that publicly. We're not going to open the lines this morning. I'm not going to do that. This is a personal issue. However, the main agenda this morning was to let you guys know that what we've been talking about each and every week can happen. We've never thought, for one, it'll be someone that we know. We never thought that it will be happening in 2022. You know, we were just making sure we keep the information alive and share the information. So if you're just thinking that this show is, you know, something just to push aside, please don't. You know, if you're one of those individuals who cook for a living, please go and get a fire extinguisher. Make the investment. That's your livelihood. Don't wait until everything go up in flames. Just start and think to yourself, hey, I should have invested. Take my foolish advice and do it now. You're already making an investment. You should be making some extra cash more than the average person. Not saying that you are rich. However, though, you should be able to make a quicker turnaround to say, well, all right, I spend $100 to buy this extinguisher. I could sell extra so-and-so to make back that money to help put back wherever you need to put back. I'm not going to get into your business. I'm not your accountant. However, though, the point still stands. Do what you have to do to protect your family, protect your life, protect your home, and protect your business. Gentlemen, we're going to call it that for this morning. A short, sweet, quick one. And I don't want to stress on the word sweet. So let's remove that word as well. But however, I will end on saying thank you for taking the time out for being here this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Hopefully, we're less emotional, but still informative.
Of course, of course.
Stay tuned. We have Miss Independent coming up next with her release for Sugar Mass 51. Don't touch that dial.
In case you don't know us, you're just twisting that dial away and managed to bump into us. This is ZIZ Radio from Adam St. Kitts.
This magic moment. Giving back